Welcome to The Hired Guy. I'm Al Smith. I'm known as The Hired Guy. And this program is where we'll explore my knowledge, share with you that knowledge, that expertise and experience to help you get through today's job search world, which has evolved over the last number of years, so that you can find a job more easily. And what I want to share with you every time are things that I know, but I want you to share. I want you to understand the things that they don't want you to know. So today's program is sponsored by To My Place, which is a nonprofit organization that seeks to stop child trafficking and exploitation through education and life skills. Check out To My Place, the number 2, myplace.org. So here's what we're going to cover today. I want to share with you some things of how job search worked in the past, and why it's changed, and how you can get around some of the things that are so confounding. So we'll also talk about some common interview situations where you can take advantage of what works and what doesn't work. We'll also make we'll take that trip into the LinkedIn lounge. And if we have time, we'll dip into the old mailbag and answer some questions. So let's get right into it. Remember when, the day was when you'd lose a job, you'd go into your newspaper, the classified section, with a red pencil. It was always a red pencil for some reason. Find jobs that you liked, you'd circle those, put an asterisk next to the ones that you really, really liked, and then you'd craft a cover letter to go along with your resume, and it was always on good paper too. Put that in an envelope, stick a couple of stamps on it, march down to the post office, and within 2 to 3 days, somebody with 2 eyes and a brain would read your resume. You'd get a phone call, you'd get a couple of interviews, bingo, you'd get hired, bing, bang, boom. Well, that hasn't happened in a long time, because in 1994, the job board started coming out with Monster. The following year, it was Career Builder. Then there was Hot Jobs the year after that. Well, when you want some more evolution, Hot Jobs has evolved itself out of existence. Then came the job aggregators, Indeed and Simply Hired. Oh, you want still more of this? Well, let's look at Simply Hired has been absorbed by Indeed. Then came your desire to maximize your effort in job boards, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But actually, let's do it now. We want you to maximize your efforts. So every Friday before noon, I want you to take down your current resume on all those job boards and put it back up. Why? Because every time you do that, you become on the top of the heap. Boom, you get more profile views, and you get more views of your posted resume. Stay fresh. The people who don't do this, they kind of teeter down to the bottom, and you lose your weight in the algorithm. So stay fresh. Do this every week. It only takes a few minutes, and it's worth it. Another thing that in job search, the darling of job search now is LinkedIn. Oh, LinkedIn. But LinkedIn's only about 14 years old, and it wasn't always for job search. It started out as for Silicon Valley tech geeks. And only in the past 7 or 8 years, 9 years, has it been more evolving into a job search thing. But if you're not optimized, if you just have a LinkedIn profile, and I know everybody says, oh, I have a LinkedIn profile. Well, most people's LinkedIn profiles are like a certain part of the human anatomy. We all have one, and they tend to stink, if you know what I mean. So you want to optimize that profile so that you get found. You want to use the weight in the LinkedIn algorithm so that you get pushed towards the top. Because the way that job search works today is that recruiters will have a job requisition, is what they would call it. You would call it your job title. They add 3 to 5 keywords that are associated with that job title to parse people out, to parse people down. And if you don't have that, if you don't have the right optimization, you're going to be pushed away. And you want to be in the first 20, 25 people that they're looking at, or else you're not going to get a call. You're not going to get an interview, and you're not going to get hired, which is the whole point. You want to get the interview and to get the hire. Other things that are out there now are artificial intelligence. It's being used. It's all around us. It's happening all the time. And companies are saying that they can go through 3,000 to 4,000 applications or people just through using artificial intelligence, do it within a couple of days. And what that means is they're needing to hire fewer knowledgeable, qualified recruiters, talent acquisition managers. And the reasoning they're saying is that it takes out bias. Well, unfortunately, the people who are setting up the artificial intelligence, they could have their own personal bias, but that's another story for another day. Another thing that recruiters are doing, and business owners could do this as well, is something called a Boolean search. And I alluded to it just a bit ago. What is a Boolean search? Well, Boolean searches started out, they're named after a guy named George Boole. He was an English mathematician who lived in the 1800s. He only lived 49 years. But you hated George Boole when you were a freshman in high school. I can almost guarantee it. How do I know this? Because he was the guy that invented algebra's order of operations. Remember that braces, brackets, and parentheses? I hated it. But he was the one that created that. Now, he only lived 49 years, and it's my theory, of course, I don't have any proof of it. It's my theory that he only lived 49 years because those algebra students took their textbooks and texted him. He invented texting. Okay, I promise to tell you lots of jokes, but I don't promise good ones. So within a matter of moments, microseconds, a recruiter, or even me, can find as many people for any job that they want to and get good qualified candidates without ever having to post a job description, not having to read through a whole bunch of resumes for people that don't qualify. And it's a lot faster and so forth. But let's think about all these things. The job boards, the aggregators, LinkedIn, Boolean searches, they all have the same things in common. Keywords. If there was a job search fairy, it would be keywords. That's how important this is in job search today. So how about if we do a search, just like a recruiter would? I'm going to share my screen and do a search like any recruiter would. I'm going to do it just on LinkedIn. And the way I can do this is I can get as many people as I want to within a matter of microseconds. So let's do it. I'm going to go to my LinkedIn profile and I'm going to do a search. Well, let's say I want a project manager. So I'm going to show you how to do a search on LinkedIn. If you're doing a search with multiple words, they have to follow in succession. So I'm going to do a project, project manager. If there are two or more words that have to follow in succession, they need to be in quotation marks. If there's one word, you don't need the quotation marks. But everything you're looking for needs to be lowercase. So I'm going to look for project managers. And this is going to be a people search. So I'm going to click on people. Wow, I'm connected to 9.9 million project managers around the globe. So let's put some filters on this. So let's pretend I'm going to look for somebody in the Atlanta metro area. So I'm going to go from 9.9 million down to 103,000. Well, I want to make this a better search. So in this search, I'm going to look for a technical project manager. And let's try this one, see where we go from 103,000 down to 2,700. That's a big drop. So let's make this more, even better. So I'm going to put capital A-N-D. So I want this person to be a technical project manager, and I want them to have their PMP certification. So let's see where we go. Down to 1,900, that a project manager, and I want this person to be in technology. Now, why did I use technology? Why didn't I use IT? Well, recruiters can't search for IT. Why? Let's look at my last name, S-M-I-T-H. So if you're in technology, you want to make sure that you use information technology or technology so that you can get found. So we're going to look again, do this search, and I got down to 1,000 people. So let's do another search. Remember, we're looking for about 20 to 25 people. I'm going to put and agile methodology. So I got down to 527 people. But I'm a real smart recruiter, even though I've never been a recruiter a day in my life. And I want to exclude anybody who I know is not looking for a job. Or actually, let me put it this way. I want to include everybody that's seeking a job. So I'm going to add that. Oh, bingo, I got to 21 people. Wait a second. In a matter of microseconds, I went from 9.9, 10 million people down to 21. Gee, I wonder if that might be important for a recruiter, but what about a business owner? Couldn't you, I mean, think about it. 98% of businesses in the United States have 100 or fewer employees. So can a person who has 15, 20 employees, can they afford a recruiter? Can they afford a talent acquisition manager? Probably not. So how about that business owner being able to do searches as well? Now, when I do this for clients, I call this process words to work, where we reverse engineer your LinkedIn profile and your resume so that you get the weight of the algorithm. So when recruiters are searching for somebody with your job title, you're on the first couple of pages. Because think of it, they're looking for 20 to 25 people. If you're on page 1 or page 2, your profile is going to be viewed. If you're on page 3, you have a pretty good shot of your profile being viewed. If you're beyond that, you have almost no chance at all. So if you're interested in getting your profile up to snuff to where you can get found more often, check out thehireguy.com. That's me. Okay, so how about we pivot to interview for a few moments? And, you know, I want people to get away from, actually, I want you to stop having interviews. When you have your next job, when you talk to your boss, you're going to have a conversation, right? So a lot of people get nervous when they have interviews. So why don't we think of those interviews, instead of that word, we use conversations. You're having a conversation with your future boss. It takes the tension level down quite a bit, I would think. For you, if you're nervous when you have interviews, let's do it that way. So one thing about interviews is that they can seem confrontational, where the interviewer is just rattling off questions and you're supposed to give them answers. Well, you need to have a really good fit. If it's not a good fit for you, if it's not a good fit for them, it's not a good fit for either one of you. So I want you to be asking questions just as much as they're asking questions. As a matter of fact, I want you to start asking questions right from the beginning. So let's pretend we're in an interview. You're sitting down, you've made nice for a couple of minutes. This is where I want you to start asking a question or a couple of questions. First, you mind if I ask a question before we get started? They almost never say no. Well, hopefully you've had the chance to review my resume. What is it about my background that made you want to speak with me? A very provocative question, which can elicit one of 3 answers. One, they start rattling off the things that they like about you, and you're nodding your head because it's bobblehead day at the interview or at the conversation. Oh, I caught myself. So when the person is done, you can say in a kind of an excited tone, I'm so glad that you recognize those traits. When I read the job description, it was like, oh my gosh, this was written. It should have had my name on it. You recognizing that what I bring to the table for the team makes me even more excited about going to work for you. I can't wait to get started. Now, okay, we're blowing a little bit of smoke, but not a whole lot. The second possible answer is, I don't know, Susie wanted me to interview you. That's why I'm interviewing you. Well, you know, Susie probably wanted you to interview me because I bring these things to the table for the team. Where do you find those things? They're in the job description. It's your friend. Use it. The third possible answer, and if you haven't figured it out yet, I'm kind of a joker, is I've got 742 questions to ask in 3.3 minutes. If there's any time left over, you can ask any question you want. So let them ask the question, answer it, hopefully in the form of a star story. What is a star story, Al? A star story talks about the situation that was going on at the time, the tactics or tasks that you could have taken, the action that you did take, and the results from that action. These stories you can have work in based on things that you've done in the past. You throw everything together, and in about 45 seconds, you answer the question in the form of a story. Now, after you've told that story, you immediately want to pivot again and say, well, why do you like working here? Or what attracted you to this company? You see, we're trying to get away from confrontation and into conversation. The more they talk, the smarter you become. And we want that to happen. So how about we, in the LinkedIn Lounge, the place where you go, that you know you can be satisfied. And I'm going to share my screen once again. If that didn't scare you away, I don't know what will. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go to my profile. Now, here's something that a lot of you have. If you look towards the right-hand side, down from the top, a lot of you have this on, people also viewed. I just turned mine back on because I've had it off for years, and I want you to turn this off. Why? Because as you improve your profile, these people were going to become your competition. So a recruiter, they could stumble onto your profile and look to these people and say, oh, this Sarah woman, she looks kind of interesting. They'll click on her, go to her profile, and they may never come back to yours. So let's turn this off. You have an option to turn it off. And what we're going to do is go to the small picture of yourself on the top right-hand side of your LinkedIn homepage. When you click on that, this drop-down box will appear. And we're going to click on settings and privacy, which will take you to this landing page. We'll scroll down slowly to where it reads, people also viewed. We'll click that. You'll slide this button from yes to no. And bingo, that will change, and watch what happens. We go back to our page, and those 10 people are gone forever. Gone forever. Whoops, let's go back to make sure we see our profile. And they are gone forever. Now it's changed to people you may know. So that one thing can help get you more views, people to stay on there. Now, recruiters love it, but as I said before, in the Hired Guy, this program, we're going to share with you a lot of things that most people don't know, and a lot more things that the recruiters and others don't want you to know. Now, that's a satisfaction found in the LinkedIn Lounge. Okay, so how about we dip into the email bag? And let me turn my head and read one that we have here. Okay, this comes from Kate in Edmonton. Ah, good, somebody from outside the country, from neighbors to the north. Dear the Hired Guy, I love the show. I'm a 50-ish female with a strong background in marketing, digital, organic, PPC, creating content. In a recent interview, now, Kate, remember, that's a conversation, not an interview. I asked how I stacked up, like I guess you have been here, how I stacked up against other candidates. And the interviewer said, she said, you're super qualified, but I'm afraid you're going to take the job and leave for another one soon. I didn't know how to react. What could I have said to overcome that objection? I love this question. Excuse me. There's some things that you could have done. You could say, well, take a look at my resume. Take a look at my resume. I've never been a job hopper before, and I don't plan to start now. Now, that's a very aggressive stance, and I personally think it can stop that hidden objection right in its feet. Another answer could be, I hope that you can believe me when I tell you I've never been a job hopper before, and I don't plan. I just said that one. Sorry about that. So I hate wasting other people's time because I don't like having my own time wasted. And I hope that you can believe me when I say I wouldn't be here in front of you wasting your time and mine if I wasn't excited about this job. I really can't wait to get started working with you. So again, we're assuming that these are the things that they're wanting. We want to make sure that we're appealing to them and negating those hidden objections or not so hidden objections. Still another one would be, excuse me, another one could be, and this is based on somebody who's 50 or 45 and above. You know, I've had those higher level jobs in the past. And the thing that got me the promotions throughout my career was my love and my expertise at, and you talk about the level of the job that you're currently looking for, and you want to go back to do that. You know, so you can even talk about having the stab wounds in your back to prove that you've gotten the things in the past. So I want to bring my expertise to your team. Let me help you get further promotions by doing the things that I love the best and do the best. Well, this brings us to the end of this episode of The Hired Guy, where I will share every employment method that I know of to help you get through this hiring process more quickly. And I want to share, as I said before, things that other folks don't want you to know about. If you really want to shorten your period of transition, check out my website, thehiredguy.com. I'm rentable. I'm a coach. Check that out, please. Drop me a note. We'll get to talking. And finally, if you want to explore earlier episodes, please go to my YouTube channel, The Hired Guy, and check out those others. And we're going to start the next time on a two-part series on ageism. Now, this isn't just for older workers, because we know there's older worker ageism, but there's also ageism against people who are younger and coming out of school. There are biases against them. There are biases against the older folks. We're going to do a two-part series on how to overcome the ageism for both sides. So that'll happen starting next time. And if you really want to get a job, check us out. I'm Al Smith. I'm The Hired Guy, and we'll see you next time.